Welcome to the Odds End, your one-stop shop for all things weird and bizarre. My name is Luther, and I am the dummy of the house. What I wouldn't do for a wooden petter. Yeah. Well, please come on by. Check out our odd collection and buy something if you will.
Or not. But this is the Grim Life Collective, and we are here at the Odds End, like Luther has said.
Wherever I come, bad luck just comes my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.
So Odds End is a very interesting store, and I am here with Merrick, the owner of this place, and he is going to share with us some of the more unique aspects of their collection that is for sale. Pretty much everything here seems for sale, so if you know a weird, grim creep, this might be the perfect place to come and visit and buy them a Christmas gift, or just come and meet him. He is pretty awesome. So Merrick, tell us a little bit about the Odds End.
Okay, well, we used to be located in the southeast Atlanta village in an old drugstore, and we moved into this old Victorian mansion about 4 years ago, and we've been here ever since, and we're tickled to find that the place actually has at least 3 entities that inhabit it. There's a little girl, a fellow who burned to death in his bed upstairs, and the woman who ran it as a boarding house died in her room across the hall upstairs. So they pull little tricks on us all the time. They move things around. We hear conversations, and they tap on doors and do things like that. But mostly we try to collect everything that's out of the ordinary that your out of the ordinary shopper may want for their collection. Such as right over here. This is called a Scarifier.
Now, what exactly does one use a Scarifier for?
Well, it's for bloodletting back in the 1800s, and you would turn this key, and that would work a clockwork mechanism inside to where it's spring-loaded. Then, out of these little slots, when the button is pushed, 10 tiny little razor blades, faster than you can see them, whips out and would draw a copious amount of blood from wherever they applied it.
That's pretty neat. Now, I've never seen one of those before. Like I was telling you earlier, I've seen a lot of medical collections, and he has some interesting things that I haven't seen anywhere else. And I'm not a collector of medical oddities myself, but this makes me want to be. So what else you got here in the case?
We have these down here, which are Trafine drill bits. These are for cutting little discs out of the skull of bone to expose the brain. And there are private groups, this has been going on for thousands of years, but nowadays there are private groups that do this to themselves and each other, believing that it relieves pressure off the brain so that they can have clearer thought. And we've also got the bone saws, your skull drill, some medical things from Vietnam, Civil War, on forward up.
That's a bone drill, the one that looks like almost like a ray gun?
Yeah, that's basically a skull drill. It was a design that was not around for very long, and for obvious reasons. With a pistol grip, it's kind of hard to hold it steady. We also have this up here. This is like the tool that the doctor uses to look in your ears and up your nose and all that. This was the great granddaddy to that. But this one was used, and it still works, it lights up, to look up every single orifice of the body, from your nose to your rectum to other parts, obviously.
That's one grim doctor.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go to that doctor.
Yes, and when they were using this to look in the rectum, or this one, they would use this attached to it to pump air into the rectum so it would inflate and be clearer to see.
Huh.
So I imagine that was probably pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, let's not go to that doctor.
And you got your blood cupping balls here. These were used, they would heat up the inside of the ball with a piece of filament burning in there and then attach it to the wound to draw the blood out.
Neat.
Yeah. And of course, the other part of bloodletting were these leeches.
That's an actual leech in there?
Mm-hmm. And they've gone back to using these again in modern times. Now, other medicinal things from Vietnam, you've got cobra scorpion wine, and it actually has here directions on the back for how much to take every day. And then you've got giant gecko wine, and these actually are in extremely high alcohol content sake.
Huh.
And you can see there's a gecko right there inside the bottle.
Oh, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and they drink these things, and the animals are supposed to add certain effects to the body.
I like your jarred animal collection. I used to have one whenever I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And I had like 5 or 6 different ones, but nothing like that.
Well, this is a lamprey, albino bearded dragon, coyote foot, whelk eggs, frogs, ball python, eyeball, beetle pig, cow eyes, and I can't read this last one. I believe it's a rat.
The face on that rat, these look so serene.
Yeah, you know, you get a lot of them. The ones I won't carry is I won't carry what looks like to be anybody's pet,
Okay.
like a cat or a dog. I just won't stock those for personal
Understandable,
reasons.
yeah.
And you got your shrunken heads made out of animal skin. And you got coyotes, bobcats, raccoon, red fox. He was always funny.
That's not his skull, Red Fox's skull. It's the type of animal.
We also do a little bit of root medicine stuff. These are paper wasp nests, which are used in root medicine, sometimes for asthma, sometimes for headaches, or for drawing poisons out of cuts. And these are the other sort, and they're used as well. And we actually buy these from people.
Huh.
They all have uses in root medicine. And over here, you have an x-ray of conjoined twins.
That's pretty neat. Now, in North Carolina, I think it's North Carolina, Mount Airy is the grave of the Chang and Ang.
Oh, yeah.
My fiance Amy and I were there last year around this time. Stopped and gave them a visit.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's a great story about them.
Yeah.
This was called a mystery hand for quite a while because even a zoologist could not tell me what it was from.
It's what is it?
After a lot of investigating and looking at thousands of pictures, I determined that it's a foot off of a Komodo dragon.
Uh-huh.
And you got your cobras, spitting cobra, white cobra, and a monkey's paw. But having read the story...
And you as subscribers know this about me, that I love to tempt fate. Everything from human suspension and wanting to be buried alive and survive, of course, and the haunted pillar from a couple vlogs ago. I am tempted to take hold of that monkey's paw right there and make a wish, but who knows what would happen. There are some things that are even off limits to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't advise it. The story had to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
This bat is pretty neat.
Yeah, it's a skeletonized bat from Jakarta.
Let's see if I can get a good picture of this in there.
And they skinned him from everything except his wings.
A skeletonized bat.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whenever the Grim Life Collective first started off, it was the logo for it was a bat skeleton X-ray from New Orleans.
Oh, okay.
So that's why that drew me in here right away.
Yeah, and that's a bird spider.
Yeah.
That's about, they get a little bit bigger than that, but that's about the biggest spider in the world.
That's crazy. There's Luther way over there in the corner.
Yep. He gets around.
He seems to be following us. Whether we plan that or not remains to be seen.
Yeah, and here's Dr. Knox.
Now, who's Dr. Knox?
Well, did you ever hear the story of Burke and Hare?
Yes.
Yeah, well, Dr. Knox was the one who was buying the buying the bodies from him, so I named that Dr. Knox.
Dr. Knox.
Here we have two old artificial hands, prosthetic hooks. And once you set the switches the right way, they open and close.
So basically, if I ever lose an arm, you're the man to come see here.
Yeah,
in Atlanta.
exactly.
To
And
have
with all
cool
the
hands.
surgical gear, I could operate on.
You could do everything. Just keep me away from the butt pump thing over there.
Yeah, well, there's one other thing you might want to avoid too, and that's this.
And what, pray tell, in hell is that?
This is called an emasculator. And that should sort of give you an idea of what it's for. It's to disconnect the testicles from the body. But it was called a bloodless emasculator because instead of removing or cutting off the testicles, this would simply crush the tubes inside.
It's that sounds not like fun.
Yeah, I mean, it was supposed to be kinder and gentler, but I really don't see it as being such.
No.
These are the hanging bats. These are dog-faced bats from Jakarta. And they've been freeze-dried and disinfected, so none of the little nasties that they carry over there are with them anymore.
I like them. All right, so what room is this?
This we call the nursery because of the zombie babies in the kid cage here.
Zombie babies?
Yep.
Let's see.
You can see they break up most of their toys and most of the pets we give them to play with.
I think every parent needs something like this in their house.
Now, these are called Junie Dolls. They're from the 50s. And this one, there's something odd about this one is when you take a picture of it with a flash, its eyes glow red like a real child's would. And that's because for some reason, the eyes on this one are red glass. And
You know what
I
that
had
means?
never noticed that till I took a picture of it. And also this one's head, when it was upstairs, used to be turned in a different direction every time I came upstairs. But that could be because of the little girl in the house.
So we are now in the parlor, which is the sort of the hangout room for the friends and folks of those who work here at Odds End. And I was in here earlier talking with Merrick, and I looked over to my left, and there was something rather interesting in the display case that caught my eye as a horror fan.
These are called Taiwanese fighting gloves. As you can see, the backs of the hands are covered with heavy-duty spikes. And the finger mounts, they have V cuts in the end for ripping off tendrils of flesh with every slash. And these were actually used in China and other places in Asia for combat fighting and sometimes just competition, but it was pretty mean competition.
Yeah, I'll say. And they are uncanny for Freddy Krueger's glove, and it makes you wonder. I mean, if they've been using those for how long?
Oh yeah, it's been hundreds of years.
It kind of makes you wonder if maybe that was some sort of inspiration for the character.
Yeah, it does. Because I had a Freddy glove in here that was really made by a Hollywood effects person for me. And people would look at that, and then they would see these and just go, oh, forget Freddy's glove. Look at these.
Yeah. Were they some sort of inspiration, or where did the inspiration for the gloves for Nightmare on Elm Street come from? And if you, as a subscriber, viewer, know anything about that, please comment below, and it'd be pretty neat, because I never really thought about that.
Yeah. And these, if you know any sadists out there named Joe, we have these branding irons that spell out his name for marking your own personal victims.
There you go.
Or it could be OJ.
Well, actually, I do know somebody in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, well, in this little town called Zelienople, named Boney Joe.
Yeah.
Him and I go way back in the body piercing, the tattoo days, and he's the one who first put me up for a human suspension. So I don't know if that's something he'd be interested in, but I'll say, hey, Joe, where are you going with that gun in your hand? It's a Jimi Hendrix reference, but I'll let you know about that too, Joe and Merrick. So this is pretty darn neat. And what area of town is this exactly?
This is called Avondale Estates.
Avondale Estates.
On a GPS, it still says Decatur.
Okay.
But it's separated from Decatur a couple of years ago. But, well, GPS takes years to catch up, so...
Yeah, it does.
If you're looking for us, it's Decatur.
Excellent. Well, if you are in the Atlanta area, the Decatur area, Avondale Estates, please stop by and see Merrick's shop here. It's called the Odds End. It's got the coolest, most unique and grim collection of oddities and an assortment of other things for sale here. You won't regret it. So until tomorrow, thank you for checking out It's a Grim Life and the Odds End.
They call me a calamity man, but I'm trying as hard as I can to keep the bad luck away from me. I'm doomed to win the night, filled with misery.